existed. Please welcome Matt Damon. So, to ask the obvious and all-encompassing question, Matt, how did this come about?
Okay, well, first of all, thank you all for coming. We opened in 4 theaters, 2 here in LA and 2 in New York. And Kenny and Casey have been going to the ones in New York, and I've been going to the ones here to talk about the film, and also to thank you guys for showing up for a very small movie. Movies like this are really tough to get made nowadays, and so those of us who still love to go to movies and see movies like this, it really helps when you show up. It sends a signal to Hollywood that we're still allowed to make these movies. So at any rate, this came to pass years ago. I was having dinner with John Krasinski, and he pitched me this idea for a movie. You might have seen he had a story by credit here. He knew that I wanted to direct, and he had this idea for a movie for him to star in. And so when we talked about it, we kind of both decided, well, let's go see if Kenny Lonergan is available to write it, because he's our favorite writer. And
you would appear in a revival of his play in London.
Yes, yes.
This Is Our Youth.
Casey and I did This Is Our Youth, which is one of Kenny Lonergan's plays, in London in 2002. So we knew Kenny from that experience, and I was in touch with him kind of, socially, and then I had played a part in Margaret in the movie, his second film. But I've always loved his writing, and so John and I went to Kenny and gave him this idea, and he really liked it. But he had a huge backlog of work and things he was on deadline for, and also he was going through the whole lawsuit with Margaret with his second film. There was this whole protracted kind of legal situation. So John and I kind of left him with this idea, and then went and wrote Promised Land together. We got impatient and just went and did another movie together, and kind of forgot about this. And then John had kind of moved on, and Chris Moore and I were the producers on this, and suddenly this script arrived one day, kind of out of the blue, and it was like 150 or 160 pages.
Which is long for a movie script.
Which is long. It's usually 120 pages. Like a minute a page is basically what the standard is, and you aim for 2 hours. So it was long and meandering a little bit, but it was everything that was in this was in that document. It was just like really arresting. It was incredible. And Chris and I I think we gave him notes, so to speak, but I think the notes were kind of like, just keep going. It's really wonderful. And then he came back with his next pass was essentially this film as you saw tonight. It was really an incredible piece of work.
Now, there's so many things I want to ask. How do you made reference to the fact that it's tough to get these movies made, and we all know, anybody who follows the business knows that it is tougher than ever, apparently. How did you get this one on its feet? I mean, Casey Affleck gives a great performance here, but he's but to talk business turkey, he's not a box office star.
Yeah, no, he's a really, and has been for 20 years, been a really undervalued,
absolutely,
actor in this town, and they have their kind of hard metrics by which they, you're either on the list or you're not, and he's not, or he wasn't, and so basically what happened was once we got this script from Kenny, I called him and I just said, I can't direct this movie. I mean, I would love to, but really you should direct this movie. This is, and at that point I think the characters that he'd written had really come alive, and they kind of had their claws in him, and he acquiesced and agreed to direct it. And I said, I'll be in it. I'll play lead. It's really the best role that I've seen, and I see a lot of stuff, and I get sent a lot of stuff, and nowadays, it's mostly, you know, like superhero movies and shit like that. But this was like clear. This was like, it reminded me of like one of Kenny's plays. It was just a bunch of wonderful roles in the piece. And so, so we went to get it set up. We got it set up, and then I had a hard start date for The Martian, and we were kind of backing into it. And as our pre-production kept collapsing that time, we got to about 5 weeks, and we got on the phone and said, okay, this is kind of, now we're putting you in a position to not succeed. So let's punt. But my next kind of vacancy in my schedule was this February. So this was a few years ago. And at this point, Kenny was ready to go and ready to make the movie. And I said, you know, I've always said the only person I'd give this to is Casey, because of our you know, because I love him as an actor and as a person, but also because of, you know, our history with Kenny. And I knew he was just going to crush this thing. And then the question became, okay, but can we get it set up with Case? And the kind of conventional wisdom was no. They're like, in this marketplace, you can't do it. Nobody, and they were almost right, because we got turned down everywhere we went, except for we had this kind of miraculous thing happen where a woman named Kimberly Stewart was starting a company called K Period, and she wanted to make great little films with auteur directors, and we went in and met with her, and she gave me a really impassioned plea of like what her business model was and what she wanted to do and the impact she wanted to have. And she, you know, her taste was great and sophisticated, and she just went like, this is it, and she backed us 100%. So this movie exists because of this woman, Kimberly Stewart. This is the first movie she's produced.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's incredible, and it's a great story because, you know, we need people like her to come, and we need people like her to come to town and also do well and succeed, and she did. I mean, we sold, you know, Amazon came in and they saw it, and they made us a great deal, and Kimberly got all of her money back, and, you know, and it's just been a real wonderful triumph for everybody. But it was because this woman, Kimberly, was, you know, she's our lead producer, she's our financier, and she was just very courageous to take this on.